should be here soon, I would think.
Okay, Mr. Hubert, would you lead us in the pledge this evening?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, bless this assemblage. Grant us the wisdom to make our every decision fair-minded and in the best interest for all its residents. I kindly ask everyone to please remain standing for a moment of silence for the Presta family and for the Mecca family. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Supervisor Villanova. Okay, so can I get we formally open the budget hearing, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, you have to reopen it, I guess. Convene the meeting now you're in, convene the meeting and then you reopen the public hearing.
Oh, okay, can I get a motion to, Hope, would you call the roll?
Sure. Collins, Nardi,
Here.
Nioras,
Here.
Villanova.
Here.
Carvin.
Here. Okay, now can I get a motion to open the public hearing on our 2015 budget?
So moved.
Second?
Second it.
Okay.
Collins, Nardi.
Aye.
Should I-
Any questions, comments?
I have a couple.
Yep.
So under the operations of buildings and then down, which transfers down into the office equipment, equipment rental and maintenance, and then to operations, equipment maintenance, and equipment rental. Bishop, just give us a quick overview, or maybe Mr. Burns as well, on that. I know that our focus over the past few years was to eliminate outdated equipment, reduce the opportunity for long-term leasing, and purchase equipment with a reasonable service agreement.
Right. Yeah, I'll take that because that was my baby at the time. When we came in, we were spending a huge chunk of money for our copiers. We basically took advantage of some expirations and tried to get a common expiration date. We then settled into a 5-year lease, which was a lease purchase.
Right.
All right, we lease purchased the 4 copiers, and they were costing us about $12,000 a year on leasing costs. We exercised our $1 buyout option last month. We now own the copiers free and clear. There are no more leasing costs. The copiers have been functioning extremely well. They were, A, good quality, B, I think we set the right machines in the right place. And we expect that we should have them basically lease-free for the next couple of years, we hope.
That's great. And in addition to that, now that we're using our strategy is to have personnel and departments office out of a common area, do we see an additional opportunity to have multiple departments using, the same, let's say, printers and copiers? It was important for different departments to have copiers, printers, and different machines because they were separated by walls and hallways. Now they have that common area. What's your vision for that?
Well, right now we have one smaller machine in mothballs, more or less, because we don't really need it. It's in our storage area as a spare. The 2 larger machines are in our larger area. They are basically identical machines. They back each other up. They serve the tax office, they serve the clerk's office, and they serve the assessment office. We're trying to get them up to speed on scanning and faxing so that each of those machines will be able to scan and fax as well.
Right.
And we think this is kind of the culmination of that 5-year plan on that equipment. So we're getting all this functionality from the equipment at basically little to no cost. Now, we do have a maintenance cost of about $500 a month that we have to maintain, but we would have had that cost even under the lease agreement.
Right. Thank you. Now, coming down the line here, now, under clerk, Hope, in your budget for clerk, we have two line items, 0522 and 0536, both with the same value for $21,500. Is that a duplicate? Is that an error? You have the positions of part-time clerk.
Right, I have a part-time clerk, and, let me see, we were talking about interns were left out of the budget. And also, half of, well, Nick and I share John Mecca.
Yeah, but he's in your budget. He's 100% in that budget. That's two people. That's Neva Garces, who is the part-time, what I would call real clerk, and Hope's direct assistant. Then the other piece is John Mecca, who is our, we like to call him our utility clerk. He serves all departments at all times, pretty much.
So would it be safe to say that maybe we should, just for the appropriate, should we split this position up amongst the two departments, if not three departments? Does that make better sense?
We have been, this year, in 2014, we have been tracking Mr. Mecca's hours. He on his timesheet, he has to report which department he's working for at the time and how many hours. We have not yet summarized that because the year's not over, but yes, we have the ability to do that. The difficulty is during the budget process, we didn't have the breakdown at that time.
Okay, Dave, that's something we can do as we go into the year?
Right, we can do a budget modification for 2015 and move a portion over to the tax receiver and from the clerk's office.
And, the one thing that I want to make sure that we focus on whenever we do budgeting to this year and for years to come, whoever is sitting up on this board, is that positions are positions. We know, they're attached to someone's name who's holding that position now. But it's important that we always focus on what the position is, the name of the position, the duties of that position, and regardless of who is in that position at that time, I use that word position a lot of time, right? Whoever is in the position at that time, that's who it is. So I think that that's important, that we stay away from specific people.
I'd like to mention also, that was done in prior years, but out of that amount, maybe 1/3 comes out of my budget.
Right.
So
Well, no, right now, 100% comes out of your budget.
I guess it does.
Yes. Okay, so what
Well,
we'll try to
1/3
do
should come out.
for you this year to make sure that your budget is right,
Right.
we'll look to divide that up, okay? Okay, the special items coordinator. I've thought about this long and hard, and I've expressed this, as a concern in the past. I think that going forward, we can eliminate that position from our line item. That would be something that I would look to do. I'll leave that open for other people to discuss, but my idea of this budget would not include a special items coordinator for $36,000. The contingency, Bishop, could you give us, and Dave, could you give us a history on the contingency line?
We use it for items that come up during the year, if there's any extraordinary items, storms at Crawford Park or something like that, where we didn't budget for, we would then transfer from contingency to cover those expenses. It could be a number of things, but it's quite common to have a contingency amount in the budget for unbudgeted items.
Right. In 2014, we didn't touch that contingency, am I right? Did we go into that?
We will have an allocation for a small amount.
Small amount, but
Yeah.
well under that 90,000.
Correct.
Okay, very good. And
Just one point on the contingency. I mean, you remember the previous administration overspent its budget 10 years in a row, and one of our goals has been not to overspend our budget. So, quite frankly, I'm very hopeful we won't spend as much as we have in here in any case, there's a number of places where I think, well, last year, our budget was, well, we had taking out the construction cost overrun, again, we've consistently underspent our budget. So the $90,000, again, in earnest done budget process, it's there, it's allocated, but our goal, my goal this year, we have $170,000 coming out of the fund balance.
Right.
Is that we not use any of that.
Right, thank you. And the last two items that I think I'd like to discuss would be community outreach programs and other youth programs. That totals $41,000. But I'd like to get an idea of where that 41,000 is going, whether or not that's a number that may be a little inflated as well.
Well, I can tell you, first we'll do the youth programs thing because that's a little bit easier. We've had a number of programs that have been either run or sponsored by the town. The intern program that has been so successful, the Tools for Change program. So part of that is we've been able to farm out because a number of the organizations have agreed to pick up the actual payroll costs for the kids.
Right.
But what we are doing is allocating the time for the various project coordinators that are working on that program. They're the ones that are teaching, they're preparing the materials, they're coordinating these kids, they're following up on making sure that the organizations are getting value. That's what that 6,000 really represents.
What about the 35,000?
Well, the 35,000 is a number that we have in there. I mean, to give you an example, I think one of the things that we spent money on that was unanticipated was the flashbacks support, which was $2,500 last year. We're just not sure what the board wants to do with, community outreach type programs.
Okay, well, I won't monopolize the discussion. I'll leave that to other board members to weigh in. So that's that, and then really just on the burial plots, I made a request to put in $5,000, and I'll leave it to Town Clerk Vespia to update us on some really great news for the Rye-Town veterans.
Okay, Bill Lane, who is the director down at the Greenwood Cemetery, he notified me and said that we still had 9 niches and no more burial plots. And for some reason, I thought we had much more. So I started looking through any kind of data that we had as far as the plots, and I found, going back to 2005, which wasn't that long ago, but we did have a resolution. So I checked with him, and he wasn't sure. He couldn't find the card. One card said 61. It wasn't what I received from Mr. Heller at the time.
Right.
And he said, something says 61A. And I said, well, I said, it's right here where we do, you said that we were, not you, Mr. Heller said that we had 12 more burial plots and a 20 by 20 foot lot. So I asked him to do a physical inspection, which he did, and today he got back to me, and we do have 12 burial
So
plots.
we have 12 plots, which is great news.
And 9 niches.
And 9 niches. So I think that's great. I still would suggest to the board to keep the $5,000 in the line for burial space. Again, something like a contingency. I would never hope that we would have to buy more this year. But that's all. Thank you, Hope.
And he's sending us a deed.
That's great. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
Just to follow up on Deputy Supervisor Villanova's, one of the more recent comments regarding the community outreach programs, I certainly think it would be wise to ask for some more specifics as to where that money would be going so that we can make an informed decision.
I in terms of the community outreach programs, I think are we still putting together a newsletter, Bishop?
Yeah, we have the newsletter budgeted in the public information line.
Yeah, I think when you look at the newsletter, If you look at the programs that have come under that rubric, you have,
Is
Tools
that
for
under
Change?
that?
yeah, yeah.
The newsletter's under that line item?
No,
no, no,
Community
no.
outreach?
No, that's right. The things you're going to talk about in the newsletter
Yeah.
all come under the Model American Community rubric. So the Tools for Change program we supported for years. We have the summer internship program is something that we've done there. The hunger study that we did this year.
That was through one of those organizations, all right? The internship or the Tools Change, the hunger study?
No.
Is the hunger
No,
study?
no, we
That
did.
was not through Tools of Change?
No. Tools for Change piggybacked on our program.
I just think a breakdown of the different programs would.
Well, again, so, certainly my budgeting philosophy, and look, the board's prepared and perfectly happy for to change it, you still have to authorize every expenditure. So I think actually last year, the Model American Community had $50,000 in expenditure, and you're taking it down to 35. And I don't know if we used all those expenditures last year, Bishop. I don't think we did. I think we probably used 10, 15 at most.
Yes. Also African-American cemetery activities, for
Right.
example, that's part of that.
So, I mean, where do the flag, when we buy flags Memorial Day, the fireworks, where do they come in?
Well, the flags, we have a separate line
Yeah.
item.
Okay.
If you go down on that page.
Page
that-
16.
Page
So,
16.
I think the question is fireworks on the 4th of July a better impact than the summer internship where we're trying to promote youth employment? Is the Tools for Change, you basically help support and launch quite frankly, a game-breaking program, a game-changing program that continues to this day. Last year, we didn't contribute money. We supported it. But at the end of the day, each and every expenditure, so if you decide today you have no interest in any of these programs, that's fine. But if you want to have some possibility to do those programs, we can wipe out the summer internship, we can wipe out tools, we can, you can wipe out the flags, you can wipe out the fireworks. But right now, in terms of I think the budgeting philosophy is to have the monies available if we want to do something. If a program comes up that we want to support, like the hunger report this year, we did. But again, if the board wants to take that out, it's obviously a board decision. And in terms of the coordinator, look, again, my view is that Greg Arcaro is one of the most productive employees we have here in the town. I think that every in fact, this 5-year projections, you wouldn't have the 5-year projections if it wasn't for Mr. Arcaro. The evaluation of the $600,000 in construction overrun, where we evaluated 12 possibilities, is Mr. Arcaro. The tax report that was done, it was done by Mr. Arcaro. All these support programs of Mr. Arcaro. Quite frankly, I think there's no employee that's more valuable to us vis-a-vis what we pay him. And so I think he does an invaluable service. He supported the appraisals, the assessment before Town Assessor Canauer came in terms of with financials. I think he assisted in terms of facilitating. So I can't think of any more valuable employee. But again, here's a board decision. Board needs to make a decision.
Yeah,
I fully support him.
with regards to that, notwithstanding all the value that Greg Arcaro has brought to this committee, I don't have any detailed information that describes what his function would be and what his duties would be with regards to the project coordinator role. I have nothing whatsoever here, so I'd like to understand that a little bit better if someone could
I think that's a fair
explain that to me.
statement. Yeah, I think that's a fair statement, a job description
Well,
outlining
yeah,
the tasks and
Yeah,
responsibilities.
it just seems someone threw a number in there, and
It's a pretty
I'm
vague
not
description.
sure what's being done for that amount of money.
Effectively, Mr. Arcaro serves as an ombudsman to the town of Rye.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, but with regard, I understand that, but with regards to the special,
To
specialty
formalize
category, yeah.
the responsibilities.
Yeah. Right.
Well, again,
and who's in charge of that department?
Board, with all due respect, the board did approve a service contract with Mr. Arcaro, I think it was 2 years ago. And I think that outlines, answers some of your questions there. So
Well,
we'll be
well,
glad,
that.
we'll be glad to provide it. I don't have it
Yeah.
here, but I know that
But
there's
there
a
wasn't
service
any
agreement.
money allotted to that category within the budget last year, and now there's a $36,000 increase this year, and I'm just wondering what...
No, it's not 36,000.
No, it's staying the same.
No.
There's no increase whatsoever.
No, it's exactly the same.
I think he's classified it differently in the budget this year. It may very well be, but.
Well, in 2014, there was nothing in that category under
Right,
special
so
items.
he changed the category.
Yeah, all we did was move it.
From where?
Hang on, hang on. Too many pages in the budget. Um, If you
Or what do you think it was, Bishop?
look
The
at,
executive?
no, it would have been in Model American Community in 2013.
I think you had a combination, if you
But I think
remember.
we split some money,
In fact,
around
actually,
that.
if you remember, I think you had in a couple of places, because if you remember when we went to the full outsourcing, remember the original proposal to take care, when we let the parks personnel go, we basically decided to outsource the parks. And then there was some talk about bringing in a facilities maintenance person in at $125,000 a year, wasn't it, Bishop?
Yes.
And so that person was going to cost us $125,000 a year. Instead, what we decided to do was to break up Bishop's position and bring Mr. Arcaro in to support Bishop so that he could do the full 100% of the building's maintenance and be supported, Mr. Arcaro, some of the work he does in terms of Right Town Park, projections, analysis, those kinds of things. I think it could be fair is to say, I don't think we charge Right Town Park for Mr. Arcaro, do we, Bishop?
No.
So, I think if you wanted to say, of that $36,000, some should go to Right Town Park, I think that'd be perfectly fair.
Well, that's part of what I'm driving at. I don't have a good indication in terms of what he'll be doing in terms of these special items. I don't know where he was coming from, so I can't attest to the fact that we're not paying him in that other department, and if he should be paid for services rendered to
Sure.
Right Town Park, then it should be in that budget and not in this budget.
Well, sorry, no, of the $36,000, between 28 and 30 is for the town of Rye. So so ultimately, I think you can reduce if you wanted to and share that out with Right Town Park. I think that would be fair, because I would expect in the past he's worked on Right Town Park, and he presumably will do some in the future. I think, unfortunately, I wish, again, I know it's been a tough holiday season for everybody. We, met with staff a week ago Friday. Everybody was invited to participate, so we're getting this feedback for the first time, and we're under the gun. What I'd like to maybe propose is that we maintain the budgeted monies, and in the meantime, we hold off on contracting with Mr. Arcaro till you can get Mr. Nowotny can get a job description to you, and you can get comfortable with what his duties are, and then we can take that up at the next meeting, and we'll just tell him to cease and desist until we can take it up at the next meeting. Well, I guess he's budgeted for this year, so he would cease and desist from January 1 to January 20th.
Yeah, that's fine. Is there any other categories in which Mr. Arcaro is being
No,
compensated?
it's all, and I think that's the
Or is it
reason
all
for the
special?
change. It's all $36,000.
Yeah, we're
I
trying-
think
we
last
were-
year it was separated out into Model American
different
Community
categories, right.
and supporting Bishop, and this year it's all in one category. Why is it so obvious? Yeah.
So now, as you had stated originally, he was there to provide some support for Bishop and other things, so now that support is not necessary?
No, well, look, Mr. Arcaro, as I say, his true definition is ombudsman. So effectively, every time we needed somebody to step into the void, that's what he's done. Whether it's 5-year projections, whether it's an analysis of the various opportunities in front of us. As you know, we're very
The
thinly run.
Sustainability Committee, most
Sustainability
recently.
And
Committee.
he writes the grants also.
He writes the grants.
How many grants has he brought in this
Well,
year?
I think this was his third grant that he applied for. He did get us one grant.
But what's the dollar value?
2 years ago, it was, also he got us the time that we had the flood down in the
That
basement
was
as well. so-
11,000.
Right, and I think around 12,000 for one, and then
And then he's also been helping Ann with her court administration grant that she does on an
Oh,
annual
great,
basis.
good,
And that's been a very successful program. We've been getting money on a regular basis there.
excellent.
he's in the process of applying for another grant right now.
Okay, great. I'd be willing to move forward with Supervisor Carvin's recommendation there.
Thank you.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions, any other changes? So so we'll come back with we need a better budget for the model American community. In other words, actually.
More
we're not-
detailed breakdown, I think, would be
Yeah,
helpful.
I don't, again, and
Again, I understand what you're saying, though. that
we're not,
it's
no
a-
one's going to, there will not be a
It's not
penny
just
of
being
that
spent without
$35,000
approval.
spent
I
until it comes to
understand
the
that.
board for formal approval, as has been the case in the past. So there,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'd like to keep it there. In terms of Mr. Arcaro, we'll get a scope of work and a better definition for what he's doing, and we'll bring that to the board for approval as well.
And just to bring up our procurement policy, for any contract over $20,000, typically you need to go out to bid.
Well, not for professional services, Ian, so again, if you remember, Mr. Arcaro replaced, what was the guy's name that we had before? John
John Goodwin.
Goodwin.
Business
John.
correspondent.
So if you remember, again, we've always been very thinly staffed, so if we wanted to do I think, the groundbreaking report on taxes, if you remember that, it's the first of its kind. In fact, we're updating it. Where, we make it clear, like the Village of Portchester residents right now are paying 3.5% of the value of their home in taxes every year. So effectively, if you remember, we did a search, in fact. We did a lengthy search that was supported by the previous board. And we interviewed about 20 different candidates, and then ultimately
Interviewed
brought in.
John.
Yeah. So when John left, we did a lengthy search. And we interviewed a number of different candidates, and Mr. Arcaro was the best. And again, I personally think he's been absolutely spectacular. And again, what we can do is sit down and give a better sense of what he's doing.
There's one more question, Hope, on the clerk line. The narrative that I have, and maybe Bishop or Dave, you can respond to this. The part-time clerk, we had it at $14,500. That was for 2015 was the projected cost, but in the budget it's $21,000.
Hang on a second. What page is that?
10.
Okay.
I really asked for a full-time person. It's very difficult at times for me, a part-time person.
Well,
I'm trying to figure out where the
The one
15,000.
thing that I want to make sure that we focus on is the common area is that we start to maximize and leverage, the workforce that's there working within 5 feet of each other. So you shouldn't feel that Hope's going out for lunch or Hope wants to take off a day. There should be some cross-training that should be happening now, and there should be some cross-training, and there should be the opportunity for someone, there's very competent people that you're working with, that could give someone a marriage license, give someone a death certificate, or file paperwork, or a FOIL. If these are the things that, that are the obstacles, I think it's important that we start to modify what we do.
Right,
Throwing people hiring people and just putting them in a position just to have someone there doesn't necessarily, may not be the best
Right.
answer.
Well, being there now and seeing, like, we're in a tax collection month, and Carol's the only full-time person besides Nick. And there's like 2 lines, and they just ring constantly. There is no way that Carol could help me, assist me. So after Neva leaves, it's like,
Well, but you're hiring a replacement for Neva, am I correct?
No, she leaves at 1 o'clock.
Oh, when she leaves at
Yeah.
1 o'clock.
She's
Well,
a
then,
part-timer.
where's,
Right.
then you have Mecca. Where's he?
He teaches school. He's not available often.
He
Okay,
puts in
so-
limited hours.
So
He's
here's,
limited.
so here's this important thing that we need to discuss. Maybe it's the elephant in the room. We have to get people that are available to supplement and complement the staff that's not there. So if you have someone that's there in the morning, and then you have another person that can only be there in the morning, that doesn't work. If we have someone who's there in the morning, we need to get the next person that's going to be there in the afternoon. So for those 2 part-time positions, you have a full person. That's what's
That would be
important.
helpful.
That's strategically what you need to do, okay? And I think that has to be clear. Those are smart department decisions.
Well, I think when we spoke the other day, I think what I remember talking about was that everybody's thrilled with Neva,
Yes.
and I thought we said we were going to look for another part-time person that would be
Yeah, we
like
did.
Neva.
We have a few, we did advertise for a
Right.
part-time person. And we did get about 5 applications. Now we have to set,
Look at them
and
all.
only 2 of them, I think, are really, they have all the
Right.
requirements that we
Right.
need. So we're going to start interviewing. But
Well, why
I've
don't you
been
go-
sharing Neva with the court as well. So
Right.
she was there today, and she's going to be there tomorrow, and she's going to
Yeah, I
be
mean, I
there
don't think we want
Thursday.
to, anyway, so, did you have a budgeting issue, Deputy Supervisor Villanova, or?
No,
personnel?
it sounds like I have a personnel schedule issue,
And what in terms of,
because you want to have 2 part-time people. If one of them can only work in the morning, and the other one can only work in the morning, then we have a void in the afternoon.
well, so
So let's just say this. If we're going to retain Mr. Mecca in that position, and he can only work in the morning, then that next person that we hire to replace Neva, she has to be or he has to be the
Right.
afternoon person.
Right, well, John is more, Mr. Mecca is available more in the afternoon, but he's,
yeah, I think what we have to do
Yeah.
is real straightforward. What we have to do is we have to add to our part-time pool. I think we haven't made a decision, we want to hire somebody full-time and pay the benefits. So what we need to do is add to our part-time pool, I think is what you're saying, and I think that makes infinite sense.
right, and someone just can't come in and start issuing a marriage license. There's training, it's not
No,
like
I think that's
neighbors will
absolutely-
train now.
I think that's
Or a
absolutely
death
correct.
certificate.
But she's only been here a handful of months.
She's been here for 6 months.
That's right. It's only been 6
Right.
months.
Okay,
Which
well.
which is a finite amount of time when you think about, that kind of career.
Right, right.
But anyway, I just think it's important that, we don't lose focus on the aspect of making sure that we schedule employees the right way, that we are covering your day. You should not be stressed out worrying about whether or not you have staff. As a department head, you're a part-timer, you're working, you're in the morning. You have the next part-timer coming in, you're working in the afternoon. I just think those are important decisions.
Your interns, now they go to the court, and where else do they go?
No, I only have an intern during the summer.
During
I
the
don't have
summer,
an
right.
intern.
But your part-timers stay with you the whole time, they're
I only
not
have a part-time in the morning.
in the morning?
I don't have anyone
Anybody in
else.
the
John will come in, but he'll help with the tax office, because they need help right now, too. When the
Yeah.
those phones ring constantly,
No, I know.
besides people coming in to pay taxes.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
No.
Any questions, comments from the public?
Right, that's,
Yeah.
And I just say in defense of Hope that in observing the new setup, that I've seen her actually filling in for the tax department. So she's not only got her job to deal with, she's also pitching in immediately when they need help, and that can be a bit of a challenge for her. I mean, you can see it firsthand if you're just in the office for a little while,
Thank you.
so.
I think that's absolutely correct. Yeah, I've seen that as well. Okay, so can I get a motion to bring the public hearing to a close?
So moved.
The second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Supervisor, before you
Yep,
go,
oh, sorry.
I think it would be important to mention, or at least explain, that the budget you're about to adopt has been modified from the previous proposed budget, for which the original public hearing was scheduled And I'm just reading off Dave's email of Monday saying that the new budget that you're about to adopt reflects a tax levy of $265.4, which is 11.7% decrease over 2014, 6% decrease in revenue, 1% increase appropriations. I'm just saying, you should mention that this is different than the original budget.
I apologize.
that you
Thank you
opened
very
up the
much.
hearing on.
So, well, why don't you want to finish? Why don't you finish it? You're doing it. Yep.
Okay.
Or Mr. Burns.
That's
Let me
fine.
say, Mr. Burns, I apologize. I apologize.
I'm just reading his email.
He's got the numbers down so well, but Mr. Burns, why
It
don't you
does
do that?
reflect a 3% salary increase for town employees.
Yep.
It does include a $100,000 capital transfer for Crawford Park, $50,000 capital transfer for Roy Town Park.
Yep.
Obviously, the most important is that you are, again, reducing taxes 11.7%, which I suspect over the 7 years is close to 66 or 70% reduction.
I think that's right.
I think, so.
Yep.
It is different than the one that you originally opened up the hearing with at
I
the
appreciate
November
your,
meeting.
thank you for bringing that to attention. Mr. Burns, having done all the hard work on this, not having that opportunity to say,
I got nothing.
well, you're so comprehensive that everybody, but please, any other thoughts, ideas you want to share with us?
He mentioned the capital transfers, the salary increases are in there, and the tax levy decrease. The town also is planning to pay down the outstanding band by $107,000, and the plan is also to convert to serial bonds in 2015. So that's also reflected in this budget. And we are asking the board to adopt the budget as presented tonight.
Okay, and that's a 3% salary increase for all town employees?
Yep.
Correct.
And another thing, a very important highlight is the capital budget for the town of Rye, for Crawford Park, $100,000, and $50,000 for Rye Town Park is very important, and that's going to help myself and Mr. Nardi with the bathrooms at the pavilion.
Exactly, and that's not necessarily the sum total of what we can expend. One of the things, in fact, actually, we can talk about it right now. It seems to me that we're in dire need of an updated capital expenditure plan or capital expenditure needs plan. I haven't had a chance to talk to you beforehand, Councilman Nioras. You did a wonderful report 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know if you'd be interested in updating that capital expenditure needs analysis, and maybe if somebody else on the board wanted to work with them on that. But I thought you did an absolutely colossal job on that, and I think we're in desperate need of updating that. I mean, one of the things, and this is one thing I wanted to talk about tonight, is, we sold 10 Pearl Street, which is why we're here. I think we're all agreed that made a lot of sense, and so we're looking to transfer just under $900,000 to our fund balance. And what I'd like to see is now have us invest in our parks. So we've managed to generate some cash from the sale of 10 Pearl Street. It seems to me we have a little bit of cushion now to invest in our parks, be they, obviously Crawford Park and Wright Town Park. And I think that money's better spent there than an office building on 10 Pearl Street at a $2 million capital expenditure hanging over it. But I apologize, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Maybe you want to think about it. I know you.
Yes, you did.
See, you did a good job.
I should have. I apologize for not getting it earlier. But
So you're looking to expend approximately $365,000?
well, sorry, no. In this budget, let me just see. I think what we have for capital expenditures proposed is $150,000.
Right, $100,000 for Crawford and $50,000 for Wright Town Park.
Right. But I was hoping, looking at our 5-year plan, if we could basically come up with a 5-year capital expenditure plan in terms of, what are our priorities at Crawford Park? What are our priorities at Wright Town Park? And I don't know if, again,
I'd be happy to take a look at that, but it will require quite a bit of work. And so any assistance I could get from Greg or someone else on the board
Okay.
would be appreciated, because, you have 2 capital expenditure plans. The one for Crawford Park, Wright Town Park, off the top of my head, I don't know if anything's really changed in terms of what we've done. the numbers may have changed. Things may have become a little more dilapidated, more in need of repair, so the expenditures might go up. I don't know if any formal study has been conducted on Crawford Park whatsoever in terms of that. I know we looked at some things that need to be done. I know Bishop put something together
Right.
once upon a time. I'm not sure where that stands right now or how up-to-date it is.
I think the one thing also, I know there's some people interested in Crawford Park on this board. I don't know if would you like to work with?
I'll work on it.
Wonderful, great, and then I'm sure Mr. Arcaro will be happy to help you as well. Pull some numbers together. And Crawford Park, I think, is more obvious and direct. Rye-Town Park, we have the constraint, and I guess Town Attorney Nardi, you can tell us, but can we force them to make capital expenditures, Rye City?
Yeah, yes, they're legally obligated to pay.
So if we get 4 votes for capital expenditures, then they're obligated to follow us?
Yes, I think the legislation is that they have to pay, I think it's 46.
40%, so they pick up 40% of the capital expenditures. So I was with,
I think it's 46 and change.
I thought operating is 50/50 more or less, and
40.
It's 40.
Oh, it's 40?
Yeah.
It's fixed. Capital is fixed.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so in any
Yeah, they
case.
can't not pay it.
But they can't, so if we have 4 votes to do capital expenditures, so we can, but I know I was just with Councilwoman Brett from the Rye-Town Park meeting, they're spending $1 million a year catching up on roads. So anyway, I agree with you, Rye-Town Park, probably the more obvious solution is some sort of outsourcing or operations of the park to somebody would do it, but so you may want to keep that in mind. But Crawford Park is very clear, it's our decision, wholly within our preview.
Right, right.
Well, thank you for picking that up, and thank you, Mr. Nardi. So that's the capital expenditures. Can we go straight to the vote on this?
Yeah, you should go to Resolution A, and you can
Yep.
vote on that.
Okay, can I get a motion to adopt the 2015 budget as submitted by Town Controller Burns?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second with our, to make sure that our comments prior to the vote are,
So that won't impact the budget. What it's going to impact is the execution of the budget, correct?
correct.
Yep, so with those said modifications, absolutely correct. Okay, Hope, would you call the roll?
Shirley. Collins.
Aye.
Nardi.
Aye.
Nioras.
Aye.
Villanova.
Yes.
Carvin.
Yes. Okay, I did want to make some comments on the budget and where we are. We are now 7 years into this, and I took some notes, obviously, looking here, but basically, and I shared these with the board earlier today, one thing is, no municipality in all of New York State has our track record of success in reducing costs. That's very clear. And taxes. Town Attorney Noda pointed out we've reduced taxes by about just under 70%. Effectively, we've inherited a budget that was $4 million. We're down to about $3 million right now. So we've taken 25% out of the costs. We've maintained that for 7 years. So in real terms, right, once you account for inflation, we've basically had a 50% reduction in expenditures. And the important thing, however, and if you look at these 5-year projections, which I think are invaluable, unfortunately, we're still in a situation where the non-tax revenues, non-property tax revenues that we inherited have come down substantially. So effectively, if you look at our budget right now, we're looking at about $3 million in expenditures is pretty much where we are, and $2.7 million in revenues where we are. So there's a $300,000 deficit that we need to figure out somehow how to overcome that. So that's one point. The second point, how do we get to where we are with the town of Rye? And it's unfortunate Goldie's not here because she could give us a history lesson. But basically, the history of the Rye town government is we have no unincorporated area. So Portchester, the village of Portchester incorporated in the late 1800s. You had the village of Marinick that incorporated about at the same time, so the Rye Neck section. You had village of Rye City, now village of Rye at that time incorporated, and then eventually they came out of the town of Rye in 1940 and created their own city. So we became a discontinuous area. And finally, in 1982, the village of Rye Brook completed everything and incorporated. So we have basically, a government that is incoherent. And what do I mean by incoherent? Well, basically, our primary task, as everybody knows, is to collect $170 million a year in taxes. And we guarantee those taxes.